Carolina off to a quick start, leading Liberty in our first game of the Hall of Fame Shootout here in Charlotte. And welcome everybody with Chris Patola. I'm Doug Sherman. Had a chance to see Vance Jackson get off to a quick start. He's made a couple of threes, and Chris, I think the word you were looking for is his peripatetic college career. His fourth stop, and the Pirates are certainly glad to have him.
Peripatetic. I'm going to have to add that to the list. Yeah, I mean, look, he's, in this day and age where transfers can really transform your program in a year's time, he's an example. He's 24 years old. So not only do you get a guy who's played a lot of college basketball, but you get a tremendous versatility with him. A guy who can go inside, can go outside. He's got good size at 6'9", and then he gives you a perimeter shot, something that ECU really did not have last year. So he's been a tremendous addition, and what a start he's off to in this, not only this season, but in this game.
At the free throw line, Tristan Newton, who, as mentioned, is the #1 scoring option this year for ECU. And he, like so many, really was under-recruited coming out of high school. And you see these stories all the time, Chris, and oftentimes at this level. And then you find the place that fits you, you work on your game, and before you know it, you're an all-conference type of player. Nice back cut. And the foul is called by Newton. As the help defender, Brody Peebles will head to the free throw line, the freshman from Hartselle, Alabama.
Because Liberty is such a volume three-point shooting team, I mean, they make 10 threes a game. They are attempting 28 threes a game. And because of that, Doug, there's so much space. Like, you have to guard really most of these guys out on the perimeter, and so you get those back cuts. And Liberty takes the possession so deep into the shot clock, you've got to really stay engaged as that shot clock closes in to 0. You've just got to stay engaged in the possession.
Newton, nice speed inside to Alonzo Frank. And his return to the ECU lineup is a good one. The 6'8" transfer from South Carolina missed the last 3 because of a foot injury. He's a valuable piece for Coach Dooley.
Yeah, he's their best low post scorer.
And he gives ECU its largest lead of the afternoon. 14-5, East Carolina. Blake Preston trying to back his way in on the 270-pound defender. Frank stood his ground. Liberty gets it back, and they continue to throw up bricks to begin this ball game. Offensive foul.
That one's close. Because the defender on the ball, I thought slid in there. Peebles, I thought slid in there. And he's the one who drew the contact, and I don't know if he had position. I don't know if he was in legal guarding position. Then you had the help slide over, and I think he got knocked over by Peebles.
As it turns out, personal foul #1 on Tremont Robinson-White. Junior reserve point guard for ECU. Robinson goes to the jump hook, can't get the roll. Newton going to work. Hangs in the air, gets the shot up. Seemed like a defender may have gotten a piece of the net or the rim. The basket's still moving, but there was no call, and it turns into 2 at the other end on the lob to Blake Preston.
All of the eyes of the defense were watching McGhee play, and it's amazing how Preston just kind of gets behind the defense and you forget about it.
Frank, nothing but net, giving 4 points off the bench for the Pirates. McGhee. Preston on second effort with the layup.
Preston from Charlotte, went to Charlotte Christian, so playing back in his hometown.
Anybody famous play at Charlotte Christian before him?
I've never heard of anybody.
Of course, that's where the Curry brothers played. And by the way, Seth Curry, one of the great players in the history of this Liberty University program, where he was the all-conference freshman of the year and then transferred to Duke University for his final 3 years of college basketball. And this is a proud Liberty program, to be sure. They've turned out 3 different NBA players, including Julius Nwosa and Peter Aluma, biological father of Keve Aluma of Virginia Tech, who we'll see here later this afternoon. McGhee still only 2 points through the first 8 minutes of action. Frank is feeling it. How do you get McGhee going, Chris? Darius is 1 for 5 shooting so far this afternoon.
You know, I've liked his shots, and that's where, look, he's gonna go in and out, especially with his usage and volume. There are gonna be shots he'll miss. It's about the quality of shots, and I think they've been good early. He's had some assists, some nice drop-offs. Not time to panic yet.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Nissan. Continental Tire, for every surface and every season, Continental Tire has a tire for you. And Hotels.com. Back on a gorgeous afternoon in Charlotte, North Carolina. Temperatures in the 70s. Richie McKay's timeline is an interesting one. Hired in 2015 to come back to be the Flames head coach. And what he has done, Chris Patola, is build a power conference menace. I mean, they beat Missouri earlier this season. Last year, they knocked off Mississippi State and South Carolina. The year before that, they got Vanderbilt. And in 2018-19, it was UCLA and Mississippi State in the NCAA tournament. They've beaten Wake Forest. They've beaten 6 big boys in the last 4+ seasons. For a guy who has been there and done that. And I found it interesting when we talked to him yesterday. You know, he had been a successful head coach for 13 straight years at Portland State, Colorado State, Oregon State, New Mexico, and at Liberty. When he chose to leave Liberty and go to Virginia, and he said being an assistant coach again really served me well.
Yeah. Well, you could draw. He's done a terrific job. And first and foremost, Richie McKay is a terrific human being. Anybody who knows him or has talked to him understands that assessment. Look, you can draw a direct through line, and he does this. I mean, we were talking to him yesterday between Dick Bennett to Tony Bennett to what Richie has done at Liberty. They play in many ways the same way as Virginia does. They run the same defense, some nuances offensively. And it was interesting talking to Richie about scheduling. You know, I asked him about, are you having some difficulties with how good your program has gotten? And he said, yeah, we're embracing it. But, you know, us being 6-4 coming into this game, it can be a little bit deceiving just because we do have to play some teams that are good, you know, who will play us.
Well, when you go to Pauley Pavilion and knock off the Bruins, teams maybe are less inclined to have you come to their building and pay you for the right to do it. Those buy or guarantee games, there's no guarantee to it, especially when you've got Liberty coming to town. This is the largest lead now of the afternoon after the triple by J.J. Miles, senior from Garysburg, North Carolina. Well, as an illustration of what you're talking about and what a nice man Richie McKay is, he has officiated 3 weddings, including 2 of his current players' weddings, Blake Preston and Kyle Rode. And then during his time at UVA as an assistant coach, he officiated Anthony Gill's wedding. You don't have that happen very often in college basketball. But it's an interesting dynamic, and it's really refreshing to be around this Flames team.
Well, you've mentioned it in this game already. They are not shooting it well. And the one common thread in the 4 losses they have, they did not make threes in those games. They are 25% from 3 in those 4 games combined. And when you shoot a lot of them, I mean, they're shooting about 68% of their shots are threes. So that's a big bulk of their offense.
Now Liberty 0 for 5 from 3 so far. Stuck on 11 points, about 11 minutes into the game. Quick trigger McGhee. That could get him started. 5 points for the senior from Roxborough, North Carolina.
You know, talking to Richie about him, I asked about shot selection. Like, how do you manage Darius McGhee's shot selection? And he referenced his time with Seth Curry. You know, Seth Curry led all freshmen in scoring that year at Liberty. And Richie said, you know, the thing with him is, with Darius McGhee, and he learned it from Seth Curry, is if you let him do his thing, he's so competitive that he's going to do things that lead to winning. So he's gonna be judicious about the shots he does take.
Off the bounce, J.J. Miles with another 2 points. Now, one thing Coach McKay said about his time with Seth was that he started taking shots in warm-ups from well beyond the three-point line, and even if he missed a couple of them, as Robinson hits the three, you understand the confidence he has to go out and start shooting those shots. He must be pretty good, and he feels the same way about Darius, that you don't take a 28-footer unless you can make it and feel good about it. The defense by the Flames. The double team forces the turnover on a bad pass by Brandon Suggs.
And that doubling the post, a staple in Richie McKay's pack line defense.
How similar or dissimilar is this pack line from the Virginia pack line?
It's almost a carbon copy.
Okay.
You know, even down to that, like Tony Bennett's pack line defense, Dick Bennett's, you double the post, and they normally come from the baseline. You know, that's where I asked Richie, I said, how similar? You know, everybody assumes what you're doing at Liberty is the same as Tony's doing at Virginia. He said, yeah, defensively, it's pretty close. Now, offensively, you adjust based on a Darius McGhee, for example, in your lineup. But tempo-wise, you know, they are the same. They're going to be very deliberate in the half court.
Here goes Robinson off the bounce. Rode into the lane. Good ball movement to find McGhee. Off to the right side, though. Rebound cleared by Brandon Johnson for ECU. Quickly back the other way. Suggs has it taken away. Another turnover. And here comes McGhee. And he turns it over, trying to give it to Keegan McDowell. It goes out of bounds. And back to the Pirates, who enjoy a 6-point lead here in the first half in Charlotte.
The senior J.J. Miles off to a hot start here in Charlotte. 9 points, 4 of 5 from the field. The junior college player shooting it much better this season. Only 30% from 3 last year. 8 of 16 from 3 in the last 2 games. So he is feeling it. And he brings that fire here to Charlotte. What a hot start for J.J. Miles.
Yeah, he's a third-year starter for ECU following JUCO stops at Chicola College in Florida and Cape Fear Community College in Wilmington, North Carolina. Veteran bunch for East Carolina, riding a 4-game winning streak and coming off a 10-day stretch without games. Of course, that was allowing them to focus on final exams. But the last time the Pirates took the floor, they beat North Carolina A&T 82-71 when Jackson went for a career-high 23, career-high in his ECU career. And so far, we've not seen any rust at all from Joe Dooley's club, at least at the offensive end. Micaiah Abee at 6'7", 220 brought the ball up. McGhee has it poked away. And it turns into 2 at the other end. Tremont Robinson-White lays it in for his first 2. Joseph Van Sant. This is Robinson-White with a defensive assignment on McGhee, trying to keep the ball out of his hands. Abee back out front, shot clock down to 6. And the 3 ball is buried by Kyle Rose.
One of those guys, as Liberty searches for offense with McGhee being shut down in the early going here, is Rose one of those guys, jack of all trades type of a guy.
And he's really one of the leaders in the locker room for this team. Very important role for Liberty. Along with Keegan McDowell and, of course, Darius McGhee as well. Second foul by Brandon Johnson. And that's the 6th team foul, Chris, on the Pirates here in the first half. just saw a look at big number 20 for East Carolina, Alonzo Frank. He's a Jersey City, New Jersey guy who played the bulk of his college career. As McGhee scores again on a nice burst and draws the timeout from East Carolina's bench. Frank's a big piece of what the Pirates are trying to do, transferring in from South Carolina after 3 years playing for Frank Martin. And it was a connection between Coach Dooley and the Rizal Catholic head coach, who he knew from his Jersey ties. Of course, Joe Dooley is a West Orange, New Jersey guy. When you talk to Coach, you know he's from Jersey. Doesn't take long to figure it out. And he has brought some of that intensity. It's interesting talking to him yesterday, as we did, Chris, about his want to return to ECU and the commitment that he feels the school has made that it has not made before. I mean, this is a program that's only been to 2 NCAA tournaments over the years, and yet he saw something in Greenville that made him think, I want to go back and continue to build.
Well, if they're going to compete in the AAC when they join that conference, you better make a commitment. Yeah. You know, that's a good league. That's quality basketball, and I think that was a prerequisite for Joe going back there in ECU now being in the AAC. That investment you're talking about.
Well, in between, among his other stops, he spent a decade at Kansas working for Bill Self, part of their national championship coaching staff. I asked him yesterday, do you ever pull out the national championship ring? And he says, I've only worn it once, only pull it out when I'm talking to a recruit or something like that. People want to see it. But he was a big part of Coach Self's staff for a decade there in Lawrence. 2 fouls now on Kyle Rode. So he's been replaced by Keegan McDowell. Tristan Newton had it poked away by Van Sant. It's an 11-4 run by the Flames with a chance to tie it with a triple.
East Carolina with their turnovers really hurt themselves. That's the one area where they have struggled offensively.
For the tie, Van Sant can't get the roll. Miles into the lane. Off the jump stop, bring it back out. 16 seconds to shoot. Frank left alone at the short corner. A little strong on the jump shot. One piece East Carolina is missing this year is Winston Tabbs, the excellent transfer from Boston College. McGhee with another missed layup, but we've got a foul call that will send him to the line. But it's really too bad about Winston Tabbs, the ongoing knee issues that he's had. As we take another look.
You know, McGhee can go either way. I mean, he's strong going to his right hand, which is his strong hand. He can also take it back to his left. You know, those are the plays, though, you want McGhee making. It's when he starts becoming a volume three-point shooter where he accumulates points and really puts you on your heels. But if he's got to work, and I think ECU's done a nice job of getting him to the basket and then forcing him have to earn some stuff at the rim. But he's just so shifty, and as you've said, Doug, he's such a good athlete. I mean, that's the one thing Joe Dooley brought up, even about his perimeter shot, is the reason he gets it off is because he elevates so high when he shoots it.
It's now a 13-4 run, drawing the Flames within a point. That's another block shot for the 5'9" Dynamo. McGhee. Ball doesn't stay out of his hands long. Misses the three, but there to clean it up is Shiloh Robinson.
Yeah, that's what Robinson does. He's on the floor because of his defense and his dirty work.
First time the Pirates staring at a deficit this afternoon. Unable to recapture the lead. Long rebound comes to Suggs. He attacks and draws the foul on the block.
Liberty foul returned before the shot. This was on Keegan McDowell.
Non-shooting foul on Keegan McDowell, his second.
Good strong drive there by Suggs. And a good call. You know, these are strong athletes that ECU has, and they are strong going to the basket.
Yeah, a lot of height, a lot of length on this ECU roster, including that man right there, Vance Jackson, imposing his will. He's every bit of 6'9", 230, and he'll have a chance for 3.
Yeah, they are meatier than Liberty. And when those guys put their head down, go into that rim, I mean, that's 24 years old. You mentioned his size. That is grown man strength right there from Vance Jackson. A good finish through contact.
And so the senior from Pasadena, California, completes the three-point play. Pirates back on top of Coach McKay's Flames, 28-26.
By the way, I have no idea what grown man strength is. I cannot speak from experience, but that's what they tell me.
Yeah, you and I have that in common. McGhee. Good, strong defensive rebound by Frank. Pirates with the ball up 2, just under 4 minutes remaining. Right to the basket. The layup is good by Robinson White, the junior from Little Rock. Puts ECU back up 4.
You know, one of the ways you can also limit a really good scorer is make him have to play defense on the other end. Right there, you just attack. Robinson White just attacks Darius McGhee, and you force him to have to defend you.
At this end, McGhee only 3 of 10 shooting so far today. On third effort, denied once again. No doing in there for Preston. R.J. Felton spins into the lane, rises up, and finishes.
One of their freshmen. Joe Dooley really likes their freshmen, particularly Felton there and Brandon Johnson. Both those guys have given them good minutes.
And as you see, the quick 7-0 run has ECU back up by a half a dozen. McGhee off the hesitation to the left hand, and he gets this one to fall. Jackson hands it off. Here goes Felton. Finds the back cut. And a foul against Keegan McDowell.
ECU getting it done on both ends. Block shot here on one. Staying with it. Give me that. And as they turn it the other direction, nice job finishing at the rim. ECU up 4.
The Hall of Fame Shootout presented by Hotels.com has brought some pretty good basketball teams to Charlotte, North Carolina for this one-day standalone event. And I'll tell you what, from this point forward, Chris, you've got 3 ACC teams, Virginia Tech, NC State, and Wake Forest, with big opportunities against quality non-conference opponents.
Yeah, I think that's the important note here, Doug, is there are some really good mid-major teams that have played in the NCAA tournament in this event. I mean, we're going to do that St. Bonaventure Virginia Tech game next. 2 teams that played in the tournament last year. That's a big-time matchup. 2 teams coming off losses, both desperate for a win to right the ship. Kyle Lofton, assume he's going to be back.
Sure looks like it. It's still officially a game-time decision, but he looked good in practice yesterday, and the indications are that he'll be out there, and that makes the Bonnies a whole different team. You know, he is the straw that stirs the drink for St. Bonaventure, and the reason why, along with the other veterans in that starting core that they've had together for the last 4 years, why they spent the better part of the first month in the national rankings as high as 16th, and why you think if they are whole going forward, they're going to be a handful. And so they're hoping to get that opportunity for their last chance for a big signature non-conference win before getting deep into the A10 portion of their schedule. Here we've got a good one. ECU on a run to get the lead back to 5, 33-28. East Carolina looking to improve its record to 9-2 on the year against a team that has dominated its conference in recent years. Drake Dobbs off the bench, the sophomore from Eden Prairie, Minnesota, lays it in for his first 2. Quick pass inside. Frank, much bigger than the defender, but has it poked away. All All right, the comp from Richie McKay about Darius McGhee. He says Dana Barros. And he had a front row seat, did Coach McKay back in his college days. He interned for the old Seattle Supersonics when Dana Barros was there and got a chance to see him. And of course, Barros, the former Boston College star. You're not old enough to remember Dana Barros, are you, Chris?
Are you kidding? I love Dana Barros. That's actually a very good kid. That's like a nuanced, deep cut comparison by Richie McKay there.
Well, the physical attributes are obvious, and the game, as you watch Darius, is similar in a lot of ways to what we saw of Dana Barros, who was a real handful in the Big East. First foul on Vance Jackson. We should mention before that last timeout, the foul on Keegan McDowell was his third, and so Richie McKay having to go a little deeper into his rotation.
And it's tough. You know, we mentioned the volume three-point shooting. It's really McGhee and McDowell. I mean, those two guys between them make over 6 threes a game. Two guys. So to have, you know, to not have McDowell for the rest of this half, he hasn't scored yet in this game. It takes a big piece of this Liberty offense out of the equation.
McDowell averages almost 12 points per game and nearly makes, as you're talking about, Chris, half of his three-point attempts. And he is one of the real leaders on this team as well. Robinson White misfires, but the Pirates keep possession with 41 seconds in the half. Van Sant back in, freshman from Midland, Texas. His older brother played 3 years at Cal State Fullerton, now tearing it up for Andre Cook at the Division II power St. Edward University in Austin, Texas. Ten to shoot. Russell O'Neal Felton Jr. with his second bucket.
Well, they saw Drake Dobbs come in the game, a guy who doesn't play a whole lot, and went right to work on Dobbs.
You don't think that was a coincidence, do you?
I don't think it was coincidental.
Final 10 seconds of the first half here in Charlotte. McGhee, no-look pass into traffic. And the putback is good by Preston. Lob ahead, and unfortunately for ECU, not enough time for Vance Jackson to lay it in, but East Carolina will head to the locker room with a 3-point lead. And with the lead, the Pirates are 7-1 so far this year when they head to the locker room with the advantage. Our halftime report coming up in this first of 4. This is the Hall of Fame Shootout at Spectrum Center in Charlotte, North Carolina. Got a good one between the Flames and the Pirates. Back inside the Spectrum Center, downtown Charlotte, North Carolina. ECU with a halftime lead 35-32 over Liberty. With Chris Patola, I'm Doug Sherman. Welcome back, everybody. And Chris, your thoughts on that first half?
You know, I think if you're Liberty, you're fortunate to be down by 3. You know, Darius McGhee did not have a real efficient half, although he did get his buckets to a degree. And then Keegan McDowell, you know, hasn't scored. He was in foul trouble. Their 2 leading scorers struggled. So I think to be down 3, credit ECU, their defense. And then they were able to, I think, make some shots from the perimeter early that loosened things up.
Well, let's show you how McGhee got to his game-high 11 points. The jump shot not falling too much despite this one make. He's missed his other 7 3-point tries.
Yeah, I think ECU has done a nice job making him shoot a variety, you know, and again, he's going to get his buckets because he's going to take a lot of shots. The thing for ECU that I think you could be happy with is early on, especially Vance Jackson, they made perimeter shots. And I thought it loosened up the half court a little bit where at the second part of that half, they started driving the basketball and forcing that Liberty defense to work. I mean, the tempo is right where I think if you're Liberty, you want it. It was in the half court. And that's one of the reasons it's been low scoring.
And we did show you on that third highlight from McGhee, that was one of his 3 block shots in the first half. And again, he's 5'9" and has 3 block shots already. That's the type of athlete that he is. And And like you alluded to, only down 3 if you're Liberty. He has not gotten going. You got to feel all right heading into the second half.
Yeah, you really do. And especially with how Liberty has shot it. I mean, they are a volume 3-point shooting team, and they're another miss.
And a change in the Liberty starting lineup to begin the second half. Preston is starting in place of McDowell, who has those 3 personal fouls. And that seems unusual to me. I don't remember a coach protecting a player in this manner. Maybe there's something else that's factoring in.
You know, he did not play well, Keegan McDowell, against Stephen F. Austin. Nice run out there.
Robinson with the dunk.
So, you know, who knows? Maybe it's a bleed over. You know, maybe it is. You know, I haven't known Richie McKay to do that, to sit a guy with 3.
Well, we'll keep an eye at whatever point Keegan McDowell comes back into the game to try and play with those 3. But he is the second leading scorer on the year coming into the game for the Flames. Shiloh Robinson pokes the ball away. The Flames have it with a chance to retake the lead. Whistle and a foul off the ball against the Pirates.
That's another area. He hasn't scored as we know he can, and he hasn't shot it as well, McGhee. But he has delivered some nice passes, set some guys up. He's always got his eyes up in the open floor. Good look ahead there. You know, the thing with this lineup, too, without McDowell on the floor, they are bigger, Liberty.
Darius McGhee with his first 3 of the second half. And back on top go the Flames, 37-35. Miles and Newton in the backcourt for the Pirates. Newton off the bounce. Nice looking stroke for a 2-point shot.
He's had such a good year. We haven't called his name much in this game. A guy who, you know, was fighting a ton of injury, fighting a knee injury last year. Just a very inconsistent year for him. He had 30 points earlier this year against Western Carolina, 28 in that game against Davidson. Has had some really big scoring games this year.
And again, he's somebody who, after just made his first field goal of this ball game, tied the game at 37. Boy, feeling it. Vance Jackson, give him another 3. ECU on top. Bad pass by McGhee. Here comes ECU on the run out. And the foul committed by Shiloh Robinson.
Vance Jackson stays hot. You know, it's starting to really come on for him. Their last game, he had 23 points. He had 21 points 2 games ago against Old Dominion. And, you know, some transfers, it takes more time than others. But a veteran guy who really does give them a perimeter shooting element.
He earned his bachelor's degree in 2020 at the University of New Mexico, and as we said earlier, spent last year playing for Coach Musselman in Fayetteville, Arkansas, before getting this bonus year and trying to take advantage at East Carolina. At the line is Brandon Suggs, a sophomore from Powder Springs, Georgia. Nice looking stroke. He had an ankle injury, turned his ankle in the second half of their last game against NCAA. Didn't come back in, but that was 10 days ago, and they feel like it's a thing of the past. He was able to rest it and get himself back to normal. But he has had a quiet ball game so far here this afternoon.
Save.
And by the way, Keegan McDowell back into the ball game. That is Kyle Rode burying the jump shot. That's a triple. 42-40 East Carolina. Frank on the screen and roll is called for the offensive foul. Peebles stood his ground, and the call goes against the Pirates.
Peebles' second charge taken of the game. Yeah, he doesn't necessarily take it in the chest, but there's no question that Frank is out of control as he's turning.
And I would think it doesn't help Frank's cause when he's 100 pounds heavier than the guy he just knocked over. Doesn't look good. Layup by McDowell, and I mean literally 270 to 170. That's the difference between those two guys.
Charged by aesthetics. Optics were not right for Alonzo Frink.
No doubt. And he has the ball slip through his fingertips for a second consecutive ECU turnover.
Oh, McDowell open on the cut.
McGhee gets it back. 4 minutes into the second half. Nice back cut, extra pass. Shiloh Robinson missed it. Gets it back, up again, and a chance for three. Liberty retakes the lead at 44-42.
This Liberty offense can really hum. It's a really good passing team. And they haven't shot it well, but they're getting some stuff at the basket. Really nice back cut there. A good drop-off pass. And then Tristan Newton does come over for ECU to help. But man, Liberty staying with it. Shiloh Robinson.
You're watching the Basketball Hall of Fame Shootout presented by Hotels.com. We are in Charlotte, North Carolina, the home of the NBA Charlotte Hornets. And we've got a good one. Early second half, Liberty holding on to a 2-point lead thanks to a 7-0 run. And at the line is Shiloh Robinson, the junior from Kearney, Nebraska, putting together a good ball game for himself.
Yeah, a guy who, you know, doesn't really give him a whole lot of offense outside of today. You know, he's really on the floor for his defense. He plays hard. He's strong, strong-bodied. You know, really no offers out of high school. It was really San Francisco and Liberty. I mean, on different sides of the country. And as you said, he's from Kearney, Nebraska. Who knows where Kearney, Nebraska is?
It's in Nebraska. Yeah, I'm always fascinated by recruiting and glad that I only have to observe it, that I don't have to be in the middle of it. Because I don't know how you spent time on the Duke staff as a recruiter. Nice drive by McGhee. He's got 16 points now. And a guy like Darius McGhee, how do you project when he is a 5'7" 10th grader that he's going to become an all-conference player who knows nothing but winning? 3 years on campus, and Liberty has won their league title each of those 3 years. How do you know? How can you tell?
You know, with a kid like that, you just have to get to know the individual. And what I mean by that is this is a guy as a freshman averaged 7 points a game. As a sophomore, 9. 15 last year. Now he's averaging almost 19 as he takes another one. So my point is, you get to know the kid. Is this somebody who's going to work, who enjoys, you know, becoming better, enjoys being in a gym? And if you get that sense, then you know they're going to improve. And then you've mentioned the intangibles, Doug. I mean, you've mentioned that a lot today. You know, he's a terrific athlete. He's very good with the ball in his hands. Did I answer your question?
Yeah. And you know, in this game, Darius has passed Julius Nwosu, one of 3 former Liberty players to go onto the NBA, for 19th on the all-time scoring list. And you know, it really is remarkable, some of the numbers that he could attain if he winds up staying for 5 years, which is possible. His teammate Shiloh Robinson having a career performance. It's a 7-point lead on a 12-0 run. And the Flames, who were down double digits in the first half, have their largest lead of the game.
And it's this front court, Doug. I mean, this front court has given them a massive offensive lift today. Strong Shiloh Robinson.
Shiloh Robinson, 6 of 9 from the floor so far today, and he's now 1 point off his career high.
And he's been very opportunistic. He's played off a guy who doesn't shoot the perimeter shot all that well, nails one there and then runs the floor. He's just kind of fit in where he can get in. And he's used that and showed you that strength up front. It's not a tall front line for Liberty, but he and Blake Preston offensively today have been real physical. They've matched the physicality of East Carolina up front, given this Liberty offense a boost.
And Chris, with that, 15 of Liberty's 20 made field goals have come in the paint.
Did not expect that coming into today.
Tough shot up the front rim by Felton. He gets it back. Tries a no-look, and Frank is mugged inside by McGhee.
about that foul by McGhee? 5'9", $155 soaking wet. Takes down Alonzo Frink with just one arm. Says, come here, big fella. He deboed Debo.
Well, you know what? Coach McKay said pound for pound, he is probably their strongest guy. So 155 pounds goes a long way when you are put together like young Mr. McGhee is. And how many times have we heard it? If you're going to give up that foul there, make sure the guy doesn't score. He was making sure that Frink was not going to have a chance for a three-point play.
Look, McGee's a competitor. That was the first thing Richie McKay said about him. He's a competitor. He's not afraid, and he's smart. And that was a smart basketball play to make Frink earn both those from the line.
East Carolina's so happy to have the South Carolina transfer back from missing the last 3 games, having a foot injury. His conditioning probably is not where it needs to be from what Coach Dooley said, and taking that time off has hurt him. But certainly by the time they get into the teeth of the American schedule, they should have him up and running, a big part of the inside presence for the Pirates. McGhee, quick pass into the corner, good defensive rotation to keep Rode from throwing it up, but it still turns into points for the Flames.
ECU going to a zone there. Liberty able to score at the basket. They are not an easy team to zone because of how well they shoot it, but good patience, good recognition of the defense, and a nice job finding a B underneath.
Robinson energized on defense. Robinson White gets the roll.
ECU stays in the 2-3 zone.
Here's McGhee, who finished his high school career in the state of Virginia at the Blue Ridge School. And misfires on the 3. He had played previously in his hometown of Roxborough, North Carolina, at Roxborough Community School. He won a state championship as a senior in the state of Virginia. Against the double team, effective again, Alonzo Frink. His high school coach from Roselle Catholic, Dave Baugh, through the Jersey connections with Joe Dooley, how he got from Columbia, South Carolina to Greenville, North Carolina for this year with ECU. The 3-ball by Rode is good. 54-48 Liberty.
These guys, you just don't expect it. Again, Rode, a guy who has not shot it well from 3 on the season. Shooting with confidence.
Nice defense by Brody Peebles to stay between R.J. Felton and the basket. McGhee showing off the ball handling skills. Trying to scoop it in. Frink may have gotten a piece.
I think if you're Joe Dooley, this is the if you're going to zone Liberty, this is the lineup to do it against. I mean, they are, for Liberty, this is a big lineup. You don't have as much shooting that Liberty typically puts out there.
Miles, no. Robinson with another rebound. How about this for Liberty, Chris? They have the 3rd most wins in the country over the last 3 years. Gonzaga 1, Houston 2, and Liberty 3. They have absolutely dominated the A-Sun. They're picked in the preseason poll to win again this year. Eastern Kentucky 2, Jacksonville State 3.
Rhodes got to shoot that.
Another ECU turnover gives it back to the Flames.
You know, guys stepping up for Liberty. It's a veteran team. Kyle Rhodes stepping out, catching it, shooting it. He's wet from 3.
Liberty 54, East Carolina 48, 10:35 remaining in this first game of 4 at the Hall of Fame Shootout in Charlotte, North Carolina. And the folks from Greenville, North Carolina, ECU down by 6 as Liberty seems to start to want to pull away. What do the Pirates need to do to make sure they don't do that?
Well, they got to get something from Tristan Newton and Brandon Suggs. They're two leading scorers. I mean, those two guys combined only have 7 on the day. And I think if you're Joe Dooley, you know, he's showing you they're trying to change up the defense. You know, get Liberty out of rhythm, make them have to work. So Dooley coming into this game because of the tempo Liberty plays at, really wanted to get some stuff in transition. They just haven't been able to create that because it's hard to turn Liberty over.
And Suggs is on the bench with 4 fouls. He has only the 3 points to show for it. McGhee dragged that pivot foot. One thing he does well, he obviously turned it over there, but his change of pace is outstanding.
Yeah, there's no question. And at that size, it has to be. You know, you have to be able to stop start. I mean, the big thing for a guy like that is creating windows for yourself because of his size. So he does that on his shot with how high he jumps on it, how high he elevates. And then off the dribble, to your point, Doug, it's about changing pace. It's a mature game that he has.
But that was his 4th turnover of the ball game. As you alluded to off the top, that is one area that he needs to be better at. Five to shoot. Robinson White beats the buzzer but missed the shot, and Robinson again with a rebound. Here goes McGhee off the window. And it looked like Shiloh Robinson may have been in the cylinder and gotten a piece, but there was no call.
Well, it's another paint point for Liberty. They have really gone after ECU at the basket.
ECU scoreless in the last 3 minutes. Trying to snap that. Miles can't do it. Pulling down the rebound is Darius McGhee. This is the largest lead of the ball game for Liberty. East Carolina led by as many as 10 in the first half. Liberty can match or exceed that here, but there's turnover number 5 committed by McGhee. And he commits the foul in trying to get the block shot. Instead, it'll be a 3-point opportunity for Tristan Newton.
Yeah, look, he's going to turn the ball over. It's been an issue for him this year, but he has the ball a lot. It's this play right here that is inexcusable. I mean, Darius McGhee knows better than this. He's got to let that go. Chances of blocking a shot like that on Newton are minuscule. So you compound the turnover on one end by giving a guy another free throw. Just not a smart play by McGhee, and a really nice defensive play on the other end. And a good look ahead to Newton to get him in the open floor.
Well, the progress for Newton has been outstanding. As a freshman, 11 points per game. Last year, he had a dip in production following a COVID shutdown. He had some weight gain and had a subsequent knee injury, but all that, of course, is past, and he's in the midst of a tremendous all-conference type of season this year for the Pirates.
He's a military brat. His dad was stationed in Fort Bliss in El Paso, which is why he is from El Paso.
McGhee for 3.
He's got the shortest memory in all of college basketball.
Yes.
Turnover, fouling a shooter, giving him an and one, and he bangs down a 3 on the next possession.
Newton trying to take over the game at this end. Got another bucket, and a timeout is called.
East Carolina calls timeout.
Darius McGhee, man. It's nice to have a short memory. It's nice to have a neon green light as McGhee does. What a terrific scorer. He's got moxie.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Continental Tire. For every surface and every season, Continental Tire has a tire for you. And by Nissan. The beautiful city of Charlotte, North Carolina, the backdrop for our quadruple header of the Hall of Fame Shootout presented by Hotels.com. Liberty and ECU in the first of the 4. Flames with a 7-point lead. And Chris, you were talking before the break on the supreme confidence of Darius McGhee, and I heard a quote, or I saw a quote, You seen the Shop on HBO?
Yeah.
The LeBron piece where they sit around at the barbershop talking. He had a couple of months ago. He had Carmelo Anthony on, and one of the things Melo said that with the U.S. Olympic team, Coach Krzyzewski said to the guys when they got there, don't check your ego at the door. Your ego is why you are here. And I wonder how that translates. I mean, that's one thing for the U.S. Olympic team, but how does that translate at Liberty University or East Carolina University, and specifically for a guy like Darius McGhee?
Yeah. I was there when Coach K said that. I mean, I remember. By the way, I was waiting how long it would take you to get a Carmelo reference.
Oh, stop it.
Into the game.
Stop it.
Syracuse guy. No, you know, it's a great point, because I think that's the, you know, a lot of people have this impression that, you know, teams, you have to kind of put your ego aside and inform the team's ego. And why would we want you to get rid of your ego? And that's the thing with Darius McGhee. We've seen him deliver the basketball today, but like a shot like that, he's going to come back and believes he's going to make the next one. And that's where you want a guy like that to have a short memory, as I was calling it a few minutes ago.
So when you were putting up 25 shots a game at West Point.
Right, that's what I called it. Short memory. All these words I used with my coach. Short memory. I'm bringing my ego to the floor. Green light.
Well, I am sharing the broadcast with the two-time scoring champion of the Patriot League. You don't get that by not shooting.
They were all good shots, Doug.
Absolutely. Liberty has it back, under 7 minutes to go, up by 7.
Now, a couple settles here, too, from ECU. Like that shot right there, I think, is a settle.
And the litmus test for that is you can get that shot anytime.
You can get it anytime. Look, the rule of thumb for me is usually time, score, momentum. So we're closing in on 6 minutes here in what is going to be a low possession finish because, you know, of how Liberty plays at their tempo. So there's only so many possessions. So you're looking at the score. You know, you're down 7, closing in on 6 minutes, and Liberty's got a little bit of momentum offensively here. You've got to get a quality shot. And to your point, you can get that anytime.
The reverse miss by McGhee, averaging 19 points per game. He leads all scorers so far here today with 21. Three ball by Miles is good.
And you get a shot off the penetration. So you force Liberty to have to guard penetration. The defense collapses, is ball watching. And what a day for Vance Jackson.
Keegan McDowell back into the game, number 20 in blue, playing with those 4 fouls and still looking for his first points. He averages over 11 per game. McDowell thought about it, instead gives to Rode with 3 on the shot clock. Back to McGhee, and it looked like it was deflected by Robinson White. Liberty calls timeout off the takeaway. Kyle Rode gets on the floor, possesses the basketball, and immediately rolls to the official and calls timeout.
It is a good poke away here. I mean, just a really good play by Van Sant. This Liberty team, their guards especially, have really good hands, and in that pack line defense, that's what it does. We call it gaps up on penetration, so there's always going to be help. But Van Sant was the one, man on man, just a nice job getting his hand in there, poking it away, and a nice hustle on the back end of it.
And there you see what the pack line defense of Richie McKay's Liberty Flames is able to do. LSU outstanding defensively, really good team. And then obviously Texas and Baylor as well, but Liberty's right there with them, playing at this pace, and this is the way they want this game to play out.
Yeah, it's a grinding half-court style. Again, if you're just joining us, Richie McKay obviously comes from Virginia. It's almost a carbon copy in terms of how Richie has schematically built this program.
Richie McKay, a 1987 graduate of Seattle Pacific, and his team continues to keep the pressure on. The dunk by Preston makes it 61-55.
Really good design out of the timeout and terrific execution by his team.
Chris, we should mention McDowell has only 3 fouls. The scores table has corrected it. He doesn't have 4. McDowell has 3.
This is great execution and not well defended on the backside by ECU. But it's a good ball reversal, and it's an easier pass when that guy at the top can make it on to the roller.
Miles is fouled on his drive to the basket. Comes away shaking his hand, but he'll gladly head to the free throw line. There's Joe Dooley, year 8 as head coach at ECU in his second stint. He was an excellent high school ball player, an excellent 2-time captain at George Washington University back in the 1980s, where he played for John Kuester. And those of you from this part of the country probably remember John Kuester as a really good guard for the Tar Heels.
Absolutely.
Who went on to be a head coach in the NBA as well. Third foul on Darius McGhee. And so J.J. Miles, a senior out of Northampton High School, completes a successful trip to the line, back to a 4-point ball game. Robinson back to Rode. McGhee, crossover along the baseline, left his feet, able to find his teammate Van Sant. Back to McGhee for 3.
What a play by Van Sant, because he had a shot, but he knew that McGhee was going to come out and relocate behind that 3-point line, and ECU just lost the best player on the floor.
Winding down on 4 minutes left in regulation. Miles, no.
Tough shot.
Road to McGhee, long 3. He's starting to heat up. Give him 27 points. Timeout as the lead stretches to 10.
He's outstanding. And he's a closer. I mean, 2 open 3s. Here's this one. I mean, the shot quality, how do you leave this guy? Just has all day to take that one. And then they find him again. The A-Sun, returning A-Sun Player of the Year.
(67-57). Liberty has opened up a 10-point lead with Chris Patola. I'm Doug Sherman, and dare I say, Darius McGhee is happening.
Well, and look at the last 2 possessions, Doug, or last 3. You get a wide open 3 from Darius McGhee standing all by himself. On the other end, you get a fall away shot from J.J. Miles for ECU. Then you come back down, you get another open 3 from Darius McGhee. I mean, this is the point in the game where you've got to get a quality shot each time down. Liberty did it twice from their best player, and ECU has struggled the last few possessions getting themselves a quality shot.
Well, he's 4 of 8 from distance in the second half after struggling with the jump shot in the first, and then has now scored 11 of Liberty's last 13 points. Three-ball no by Jackson, who had a big first half but has been quiet here in the second.
And again, he's hit shots, but I mean, he's at least 1.5 feet behind that 3-point line. You know, you'd love to try to take it to the rim. Maybe you get fouled. Stop this clock.
And again, the Flames with the shot clock down under 10. And the foul is called. Newton with the personal. That's his third personal foul, and it'll send Kyle Rode to the stripe.
Kyle Rode at the line for Liberty.
And the junior from Lexington Christian Academy in Lexington, Kentucky, misses his first. I get the sense Kyle Rode is never out of control.
No. Well, Richie McKay's called him the smartest guy he's coached, and he's coached a lot of guys, so that's obviously high praise, and it speaks to what you're saying.
I mean, I think he's one of those guys who knows who he is. ECU turns it over, and he is right in the middle of it again. Kyle Rode forces that turnover. You know what I mean, though? He's not doing something he shouldn't be.
He's in character. He never gets out of character. He's got a haircut like he should be a drill sergeant.
Which I'm guessing brings back bad memories.
Yeah, not good.
Yes, flashbacks.
Yes.
Robinson to the cutting Rode, who lays it in right on cue. Number 22 makes it a 13-point Liberty lead, its largest of the game.
It has not been always pretty today for Liberty, but they have closed this game like winners, like the winners they are.
The three-time reigning ASUN regular season champs. And if not for the COVID-interrupted 2020 spring, likely would have been to the last 3 NCAA tournaments.
Well, they're shooting almost 50% in this half, and a lot of it at the rim. Back cuts, drives that are open, and then they've pitched out for those open threes they've hit in this half. I mean, they just have closed, and that's how you win. That's how you build a winning program like Richie McKay has. Their execution down the stretch has been exceptional. How about those specs on Richie, too? Fashion forward?
I'm guessing that his better half, Julie, had something to do with that fantastic purchase. By the way, Julie and the rest of the family getting ready to head to Hawaii from here. They've got quality time coming up with a little basketball thrown in there at the Diamond Head Classic. Their first game out there will be on the 22nd against a very good Northern Iowa team that went to Olean and beat St. Bonaventure earlier this year. And you and I saw A.J. Green last year right before he had his hip surgery. He seems to be back and then some.
He killed St. Bonaventure.
Yeah. What did he make, 15 threes or something?
Yeah.
Steph Curry-like? Not quite that many, but he was really, really good in one of the tougher places to play in the country. Final 2 minutes of regulation. McDowell, tough shot. Good look from the corner. Tremont Robinson-White, though, could not connect, and we've got a whistle. And now for today's player of the game, brought to you by Hotels.com. No surprise, Darius McGhee.
Yeah, the truck really went out on a limb, picking Darius McGhee as the player of this game. And he's been his best late. Isn't that what you want? The ASUN's player of the year last year has saved his best for last. Good unselfish pass there to find over 18 points a game. Darius McGhee on the season, and he let it go in the second half of this one.
And you know, he's got over 1,000 points to go, but if he stays for that extra year, he's got a real shot to become the all-time leading scorer in Liberty basketball history, and the record is held by somebody who I know you're familiar with. Carl Hess, class of 1980.
Yes.
Six-time Final Four official.
I always love being reminded that Carl Hess went to Liberty. He was a great player.
He sure was.
He really was.
Hard to put up that many points and not be really, really good. And so he sits atop, and who knows with Darius McGhee, and we've talked about it with transfer portal. Richie McKay and his staff were able to keep McGhee for another year, and you just don't know what opportunity can come, and he certainly could go and play at a higher level of college basketball, but Richie McKay's been through this before. As we've talked about, Seth Curry was fabulous as a freshman at Liberty and transferred up to Duke, and Coach McKay and his staff are all for whatever's best for the player.
Yeah, and look, Liberty's different. I mean, if you're choosing to go to Liberty, you're choosing it for reasons beyond simply basketball.
No doubt.
And
the spiritual part of that is really important to most everybody on the team.
And I assume those are some things that would keep you there.
Coach McKay talked yesterday to us about the recruiting of people where faith is at the heart of what they want to be as a college student and as a student athlete, and it absolutely is a big part of most of these players' lives. He says we don't recruit, we won't tell a player who's really good and wants to come if they are not as faith-based as some of the rest that we don't want them. But that is obviously a key component to what they do at Liberty. And of course, Liberty University was founded back in 1971 by the Reverend Jerry Falwell. Vance Jackson has committed his 4th foul, and so Joseph Van Sant at the free throw line.
He said at halftime that Liberty was fortunate to be down only 3. And I think if you're Joe Dooley, you'll look back. Liberty didn't shoot it well in the first half. Keegan McDowell really never got going in this game. I think you'll look back and say, man, we should have probably been up more in that first half. And, in the second, they kind of lost Darius McGhee. And, that's the one thing you cannot do.
And Darius McGhee's day is done with 1:10. He takes a seat after having scored 27 points. His efficiency in the second half, in conjunction with the production, was excellent. Tristan Newton fouled. He'll go to the line with a chance for 3.
Yeah, he can score. I mean, you were talking about it earlier, just the improvement he has made. A guy who's already had some big games this year. Go back to his senior year in high school. He led the state of Texas in scoring, so he can fill it up.
1 minute remaining, 1 minute.
Dobbs traveled. That's a good look at number 2. We didn't get a chance to see him try a reverse windmill dunk. Perhaps next time. Well, maybe I spoke too soon. Dobbs goes out, and in comes number 2 again.
Can't sleep. Coaches can't sleep. Up 12, 1 minute left. Too many things can go wrong.
And here he comes. Under a minute now. And again, the Flames will just look to bleed as much of the clock as possible. 30 seconds left in the second half. Well, the folks have made the trip from Lynchburg, Virginia, to see what's a pretty good opportunity to pick up a key non-conference win or getting their money's worth today.
Yeah, they sure are. I mean, you got a very good sense of who Liberty is today. It wasn't necessarily a clean first half, but they can just grind you down and pick you apart, which they did in the second half. And then they have a special player who can just take over a game, which he did certainly in the second half. But I thought in the last 5 to 10 minutes, Doug, I thought Darius McGhee imposed his will on the game.
No doubt. And again, he's only listed at 5'9", 150 pounds. Don't judge a book by its cover.
Are you speaking for him or for yourself?
Well, now that you mention it, I was speaking about him. However, now let's see if number 2 in blue is done for the day now. He heads to the bench for a second time as Tristan Newton shoots the free throws. And that should do it. After trailing by double figures in the first half, the Flames got it going and win the ball game 74-64.
Yeah, it's a big win. These are the kind of non-conference games that not only help your team, help your league. This is a big win for the A-Sun. And what a show we were treated to today. And I thought their front line, Shiloh Robinson, Blake Preston, I thought those 2 guys came up big as well.
No doubt. But McGhee takes the headline once again with 27 points to lead all scorers. The Pirates had it rolling in the first half, but the Flames just kept doing what the Flames do. Controlled tempo, controlled pace, and gets this Hall of Fame shootout underway in style. Once again, our final score, Liberty 74, East Carolina 64. For Chris Patola and our entire crew, I'm Doug Sherman. Thanks for watching, and so long from Charlotte, North Carolina.